I'm Mira Sloan, 26, indie board game designer, Minneapolis born and weatherproofed. I measure time in prototypes and winters. This one started on a Tuesday that felt like a snow globe. Someone shook too hard. The city hummed under a lid of gray, the Mississippi breathing out steam like a dragon. I was tucked into my corner table at a cedar-smelling cafe, wool beanie on, laptop open, binder swollen with sticky notes. My game Hinterland's Heist was spread out in cardboard glory. Hex tiles, little wooden horses, a deck face up like a confession. Players trickle in for my public playtests. Strangers, friends, people who like clever crimes and tighter resource curves. I log everything. Time-stamped PDFs, recordings, a living changelog with notes like V0, 7.3 tightened caravan bidding, bandit AI too generous. That paper trail is my religion. Indie guarantees you two things: no budget and receipts. Still the bandits? The barista asked, sliding me a hot chocolate that could resurrect the dead. Always, I said. They're my love language. He laughed. Good luck, Mira. I needed it. Tonight was the first test since I tuned the melt mechanic, the way caravans shed goods under heat from patrol routes. It was elegant and mean, my favorite combination. Players were already arguing before shuffle. Why would I escort you? You'll double-cross me, said a guy in a plaid shirt. Because I can pay you in iron, the woman across from him said. Also, the rules literally reward cooperation in the first 2 rounds. I smiled into my mug. They were having fun inside my head, and that never got old. Between rounds, I checked messages out of habit. One text sat at the top of my screen, the little preview like a splinter. Jonah, got exciting news. Call. Jonah Park has been my friend since freshman year nights in the dorm lounge, sleeve-shuffling decks, and arguing about whether auctions or worker placement better model capitalism. He's quick with jokes, quicker with ideas, and he used to be the only person I trusted with my rough cuts. Used to. We'd drifted a little these past months, different projects, different schedules. Still, exciting news from Jonah registered as a good thing. I thumbed the call button during a break. Heart light. He picked up on the first ring. Mira. Okay. Don't freak out. I laughed. Cool start. I talked to a contact at North Star Forge. I blinked. North Star Forge is the big leagues. Their booth at conventions is a cathedral. Their release calendar is what small designers tape above their desks, not as a vision board, but a weather map. And I pitched them a heist game, he said, words tripping over each other. They're very interested. I felt a citrus jolt of hope. Jonah, are you serious? Hinterlands? There was a pause. A tiny, polite pause you only hear if you're bracing for impact. Something in that space, he said. Look, I want to celebrate with you. Drinks later? Something in that space. I repeated it because my brain had skipped. It's just high level. You know how it is, he said quickly. Anyway, let's toast. I'm proud of you. I stared at the table, at my hex tiles crowded with pencil notes, roots, odds, tweaks, and felt a cold draft across my spine, as if someone had cracked the cafe door to January. Okay, I said. Yeah, drinks. We hung up. I told myself to breathe. I told myself not to catastrophize. I told myself we hadn't written anything down. But there were norms, there was trust, there was our entire shared history of swapping prototypes across greasy diner tables at 2 a.m. I ran the second test. It went beautifully. Players groaned in that satisfied way you only hear when people lose because of their own greed. After they left, I packed the game with the careful tenderness of a surgeon closing a chest. On my way home, the city glittered as the first flakes began to fall. I put on a podcast about art theft and tried not to read symbolism into it. My apartment is small and bright and too full of cardboard. I dropped my bag, fed my sourdough starter named Cunning, and opened my laptop to upload the new draft. Hinterlands Heist V0. 8.1 melt mechanic tuned. Escort contracts balanced. Bandit placement clarified. The upload bar crawled like a Minnesota sidewalk in April. I flipped over to the big board game subreddit to lurk. A pinned thread at the top had a title bold enough to bruise. North Star Forge announces Night Market Cabal, a criminal commerce engine from designer Jonah Park. My vision tunneled. I clicked through. The post was slick. Banner image of a crowded market at dusk. Bullet points. Dynamic caravan routes. Heat mechanics. Escort contracts. A melt system under pressure. I scrolled. The exact phrasing felt like someone had crawled through my notes while I slept. I checked the timestamp. Posted 38 minutes ago. I read the press release 3 times, each time slower. I read until my eyes snagged on a sentence that might as well have been written in blood. Built around a novel, melt economy that transforms goods under pressure from patrol routes. Night Market Cabal challenges players to negotiate escort contracts, run blockades, and decide who burns and who profits. Novel. Transform. Escort contracts. Burns. I could hear my own voice from our late-night calls months ago, excited and breathless. What if the economy isn't closed? What if it literally melts? What if the map feels like spring thaw? I felt heat rise behind my eyes. I felt my hands begin to shake. I reminded myself I had time-stamped drafts going back a year, videos of hands moving my ugly proto-components, spreadsheets that looked like someone lost a fight with a probability table. I reminded myself I wasn't crazy. A chat window popped up. Jonah again. "Hey," he wrote. "Surprise. Wanted to tell you in person. It's going to be huge." My cursor hovered without moving. I typed, "This is Hinterlands, Jonah." I erased it. I typed, "Congratulations." I erased that too. Instead, I wrote, "When did you pitch them?" He replied, "Last month. They wanted fast turnaround." Last month, I had emailed him V0 7.3 with the subject line, "Melt finally sings." He had replied with 5 clapping emojis and, "You did it." I scrolled my email to make sure I wasn't misremembering. There it was, time-stamped, with attached files, diagrams of caravan congestion, a video link of me playtesting at the library with teenagers who taught me better trash talk. "Can we talk?" I typed. "Tomorrow," he said. "I'm swamped." I stared at the blinking cursor. The urge to break something throbbed behind my ribs. I thought of the 18-hour drives to tiny conventions, where I set up in fluorescent-lit rooms that smelled like dry erase markers and old carpet. I thought of the kind stranger who once bought me a hot dog and said, "Don't quit, your ideas have teeth." I thought of winter. Minnesota winter teaches you 2 truths. The snow doesn't care about your schedule, and you learn to move anyway. I opened my changelog, clicked through each version like turning pages of a diary. V0 3.2 First mention of melt. B0 B0 5.1 Escort contract icons added. V0 6.4 Patrol heat thresholds. Each entry stamped with a date, a time, a little note like a breadcrumb that said, "I was here." I pulled up the video archive. The January test at the co-op, the August table at the brewery, the day in September where a kid with blue hair sketched a bandit symbol I still use for the AI. I created a fresh folder, Proofpack Hinterlands, Heist. I dragged the receipts in like I was building a fort. My phone buzzed again, an email notification that put a crack through the night. Subject line: Cease and desist. Unauthorized use of IP Night Market Cabal. Sender: legal at northstarforge.com. For a second, my brain blanked so completely I could hear the refrigerator hum. Then I opened it. The letter was polite and sharp as an icicle. It alleged I was infringing on their upcoming title by publicly displaying mechanics and systems substantially similar to those protected under contract. It referenced posts from my playtests. It acted like I was the thief. I laughed once. A raw little bark that startled me. I must have been smiling, because my face hurt. Mechanics aren't copyrightable. That's the first thing you learn in this space. But they have lawyers, and I have receipts and caffeine tolerance. I texted Jonah. "Did you know they were going to send that to me?" No response. I paced the apartment, counting the boards, leaning against my wall like sleeping doors. On the street below, Tires hissed on new snow, white swallowing sound. I pictured the next months if I did nothing. My game buried alive. His game launched with marketing fireworks. My name scrubbed from my own idea. And I pictured my playtesters, my messy, brilliant crowd, who argued in good faith and scrawled hearts on the corner of feedback forms. I stopped pacing. I opened a new document and typed a title, Thread. The heist of Hinterland's heist receipts inside. Then I hesitated. Posting would be napalm. It would mean war with a publisher that could make or break a career. It would mean Jonah, my friend, standing on the opposite side of a line I never thought we'd draw. My cursor blinked like a dare. The clock on my stove ticked from 11:59 to midnight, and the city outside turned the color of decision. I clicked into the thread and started to write. Right as I attached the first proof, my phone lit up with an unknown number from a Minneapolis area code. I answered. A low, steady voice said, "Miss Sloan, this is Avery from North Star Forge. We need to talk about your game. Tonight." And then, the call cut. My apartment felt suddenly too small. The walls leaning in to listen. I stared at the screen. It buzzed again, this time with a calendar invite bursting onto my inbox. North Star Forge emergency meeting, 9 a.m. tomorrow, downtown. At the bottom, attendees, legal, PR, acquisitions, and Jonah Park. My hand went cold. I looked at my open post, at my folder of proof, at the snow beyond the glass. Do I go quiet and walk into their building alone? Or do I push publish and let the world in before I step through their doors? I hovered over the button. The streetlight flickered, and someone knocked on my apartment door. I froze. 3 knocks. Firm even. Not the kind neighbors use when they've locked themselves out. The kind that sounds rehearsed. It was almost midnight. Snow whispered against the window. I glanced at the door's peephole, just a shadow shape, blurred by the hall light. "Who is it?" I called, trying to keep my voice level. "It's Caleb," came a voice. Male. Low. "Jonah's roommate." He said to drop something off. Jonah's roommate? My heartbeat thudded against my ribs. I hadn't seen Caleb in months, not since he'd helped us move prototype boxes during a game jam weekend. I undid the chain but left the deadbolt. "What is it?" "Envelope," he said. "He said it's for you, something about clearing things up." I cracked the door open an inch. He looked tired, cheeks pink from the cold, a hood pulled up. In his hand, a manila envelope, folded once. He passed it through the gap. He told me not to read it. I took it, fingers brushing snow off the flap. "Thanks." Caleb hesitated. "Mira, I don't know what's going on, but Jonah's been in a mess since that deal. He's not the same." My throat tightened. "What do you mean?" He glanced down the hall. He said something about a non-disclosure. Big money. Lawyers watching his email. He told me if you reached out, I should tell you not to post anything online. I stared at him. Did he say why? Caleb shook his head. "Just that you'd regret it." Then he stepped back, eyes nervous. "Be careful, okay?" He turned and disappeared down the stairwell. Boots thudding softly. I closed the door, locked it twice, and stared at the envelope. The flap was unsealed. Inside were 2 things, a handwritten note and a small flash drive. The note read, "Mira, I can't fix this yet. Don't post. Please. Wait until after the meeting. You don't know everything. J." No apology, no explanation, just that. I stared at the drive. It was labeled in black marker, Forge, Draft 1, MP4. My stomach twisted. I plugged it in. The file opened on a dark conference room. Jonah sat across from 2 people in suits. The timestamp read 3 weeks ago. "Congratulations," one of them said. "We'll move forward if you can provide a working prototype by next Monday." Jonah smiled nervously. "That's tight, but I have something I can polish fast." "Great, and remember," the man continued, "once we sign, we own everything you present today. Mechanics, systems, the lot. You'll be credited as lead designer. The rest is ours to market." Jonah nodded. I paused the video. My pulse felt like thunder in my ears. He sold my design before I even knew it. And worse, he'd given them everything under a contract that said they owned it all. I sat back, shaking. Every emotion came in layers: confusion, betrayal, rage, heartbreak. He'd been my creative partner, my best friend, the one person who'd said he believed in my work before anyone else would touch it. And now, he'd just erased me. But what struck me hardest wasn't that he stole it. It was that he wanted me to wait. Wait until I walked into their meeting, alone, surrounded by their lawyers. He thought I'd freeze, that I'd accept the narrative. Not a chance. I pulled my phone and hit record. My voice shook, but I forced the words out. This is Mira Sloan. Timestamp October 11th, 12:14 a.m. I'm documenting evidence of IP theft by North Star Forge and Jonah Park. I have time-stamped drafts, footage, and a signed witness statement that I'm gathering tonight. I stopped the recording, labeled it, and saved it to cloud backup. Then I called the one person I knew would answer at any hour: Ray Thompson, indie dev, professional chaos engine, and one of the most respected voices on Tabletop Now, a YouTube channel that roasted predatory publishers for breakfast. She picked up mid-yawn. Mira, do you know what time? Oh hell, you're crying. What happened? Jonah, I said, voice trembling. He sold Hinterlands. Forge signed him. They just sent me a cease and desist. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. Oh, Mira. I told her everything: the call, the video, the envelope, the meeting tomorrow. When I finished, there was a low whistle on the line. Okay, she said. Listen. Do not go there alone. They already scheduled it. I have to. No, you don't. They're setting you up to intimidate you. You need a witness or at least a camera. I wiped my face. Ray, I can't go nuclear yet. If I post proof online, I burn every bridge in the industry. Ray sighed. And if you don't, they bury you quietly. I stared at the snow piling against my window. The world outside looked peaceful, like silence had a shape. Okay, I whispered. What if I record the meeting? That's better, she said. Bring the drive, your changelog, and your calmest rage face. I almost laughed. You mean my normal one? She snorted softly. You're not alone in this, Mira, and whatever you do, save every file. When we hung up, I sat in the dim light, surrounded by game boxes and my own shaking breath. Sleep was impossible. Instead, I printed the latest changelog, highlighted timestamps, and stuffed the flash drive into a padded sleeve. Then I opened my thread draft again, the one titled The Heist of Hinterland's Heist. My cursor blinked under the first line. They told me to wait. I hovered over publish. Ray's words echoed in my head. Don't let them bury you quietly. But I couldn't risk it yet. Not until I saw Jonah's face. I saved the draft offline, closed the laptop, and let exhaustion finally drag me under. Morning came sharp and bright, Minneapolis sunlight bouncing off the snow like mirror glass. I dressed in my gray wool coat, hair pulled into a tight bun, a small camera pinned discreetly under the lapel. My proof folder sat in my bag like a shield. Downtown Forge HQ was all glass and brushed steel, the kind of place that smelled like new money and polished intentions. At reception, a woman with perfect posture smiled. Miss Sloan, they're expecting you. I followed her through a hall of framed posters, Night Market Cabal already printed and glowing under spotlights. Seeing that title made my stomach flip. We stopped at a conference room door. She opened it. Inside, 3 suits, 1 PR rep, and Jonah. He looked up. His eyes darted between me and the flash drive in my hand. Mira, he said softly. You came. Of course I came, I replied, voice steady. You asked for me. The man at the head of the table smiled politely. Miss Sloan, thank you for joining us. We wanted to clear up some confusion before things get complicated. I sat, setting my folder on the table. I agree. Let's clear it up. He clasped his hands. Jonah tells us you collaborated informally on early concepts, yes? He's grateful for your input, but as you know, mechanics aren't protectable. So we're offering a goodwill payment for your time, $10,000, and your agreement to stop public tests. Jonah's eyes flicked toward me, pleading. I stared at them. A payoff. An acknowledgement, the man said smoothly. A fair resolution. I leaned forward. You don't want a resolution. You want silence. He smiled faintly. I think we all prefer peace. I slid the flash drive across the table. Then, you should see this before you decide what peace costs. Jonah paled. Mira, don't, but I'd already opened my laptop and played the video of him in that same conference room 3 weeks earlier, promising them my game. The suit stiffened. The PR rep's pen froze mid-scribble. And when the video ended, the silence in that room was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. I looked straight at Jonah. Now tell them who really built Hinterland's heist. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked at me, then at the executives. His hand twitched toward his notebook, and suddenly, his phone buzzed. He read the screen, eyes widening. The lead executive frowned. What is it? Jonah looked up slowly, voice cracking. It's online, he whispered. The post went live. My stomach dropped. What? He turned the phone toward me. There it was, the heist of Hinterland's heist receipts inside, posted from an anonymous account. My thread. My proof. All of it. But I hadn't hit publish. Someone else had. Ray. The air in the conference room went razor sharp. Every phone on that table lit up at once, notifications chiming like a mechanical chorus. The lead executive, Mr. Trent, frowned, scrolling rapidly. The PR woman gasped softly. It's everywhere already, she whispered. Jonah looked at me, horrified. You posted it? I didn't, I said, pulling out my phone. My hands were shaking. But someone did. My notifications were an avalanche. DMs, mentions, tags, number. Hinterland's heist was trending. The post had exploded thousands of upvotes, screenshots, people dissecting every timestamp, every draft, every version note. My name was in the top comments. So was his. Trent set his phone down carefully, like it might bite. Miss Sloan, he said slowly, you realize this is highly defamatory, if not substantiated? I met his gaze. It's substantiated. Every file is timestamped. Every draft has witnesses. And I have video. He turned to Jonah. Is there truth to this? Jonah's throat worked like he was swallowing nails. She helped with early concepts, but I slammed the flash drive on the table. Don't you dare. Everyone jumped. Every word you said in that meeting 3 weeks ago was recorded, I continued, voice trembling but steady. Every mechanic, every pitch, every promise you made them. It was mine. Jonah's face went pale. Trent leaned back, lips tight. We'll need to verify these claims before we proceed further. Good, I said, gathering my folder. Because the internet's already doing that for you. And then I walked out. The elevator ride down felt like a lifetime. My reflection in the brushed metal doors looked like someone else. Tired, furious, unbreakable. Outside, downtown Minneapolis shimmered with morning sun and falling snow. The world absurdly peaceful, while mine caught fire. My phone buzzed nonstop. Ray's name lit up the screen. I answered. Ray, what did you? Before you yell, she interrupted. You need to know the thread wasn't safe offline. I saw it when you uploaded the draft to the shared folder last night. Forge has bots that scrape anything with their name on it. They would have buried it before morning. I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. You posted it under your account? No. I used an anonymous handle and a VPN. It's bigger than either of us now. Journalists are picking it up. North Star's subreddits are melting down. People are calling it the great heist of the heist. I almost laughed at that. Almost. Ray, they'll come after you, I said. They can try. But you've got proof, and now the world's watching. Her words hit me like a thaw. I realized she'd done what I couldn't, forced them into the light. Still, my stomach twisted. Jonah's going to hate me. Ray's voice softened. He already made his choice. By the time I got home, my inbox had turned into chaos. Journalists, streamers, small creators, even a lawyer who specialized in IP defense for indie designers. One email stood out. Subject: cease and desist notice withdrawal. From legal at northstarforge.com. I opened it. After reviewing new evidence, Northstar Forge is suspending the cease and desist action pending investigation. Please refrain from further comment until our internal review concludes. I sat back, stunned. It wasn't an apology, but it was something. Then my phone buzzed again. Jonah. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Mira. His voice was wrecked. You have no idea what's happening. They're threatening to pull my contract. Good, I said flatly. They said I breached confidentiality. They're saying I leaked the footage. Jonah. My voice cracked. You didn't just breach confidentiality. You betrayed me. You sold something that wasn't yours. I didn't mean. Stop. My chest ached. You meant it. You just didn't think I'd fight back. Silence. Then he said softly, I thought if I got in, I could bring you in later. I swear. I told myself I was doing it for both of us. I closed my eyes. You told yourself a lot of things, didn't you? He didn't respond. I'm not your footnote, Jonah, I whispered. Not anymore. Then I hung up. That night, I watched the internet turn into a courtroom. Clips of my playtests resurfaced from years back. Fans posted screenshots proving my prototypes predated Forge's announcement. Other indie devs shared stories of similar theft, tagging my name with words like bravery and vindication. But there were skeptics too, people saying I was chasing clout, that I'd sabotaged Jonah out of jealousy. The comments cut deeper than I expected. For every "we believe you," there was a "you just want attention." I tried to ignore them, but the noise was constant. By midnight, Number Hinterlands Heist was the top trending tag in North America. And then, just as I thought I might get a moment of peace, a DM popped up from an unknown account. You don't know who you're messing with. Delete your files before they delete you. No profile picture, no name, just that message. I froze. The cursor blinked on the screen, like it was waiting for my reaction. Then another message came through. Check your door. I stood, heart hammering, and moved toward the front door. Through the peephole, nothing. Just the quiet hallway, washed in yellow light. And then, faintly under the door, a slip of paper. I bent to pick it up. It was a printout of my Reddit post, circled in red pen, and scrawled across the bottom, in jagged handwriting, "Stop digging." My hands went cold. Outside, the wind howled down the street, carrying with it the sound of distant sirens. Someone knew where I lived, and they wanted me quiet. The paper trembled in my hands. My apartment, once my cozy cave of cardboard and coffee mugs, suddenly felt like a crime scene. I backed away from the door slowly, half expecting another knock. Nothing, just silence, and that faint hum of the refrigerator, oblivious. I snapped a quick photo of the note, then slid it into a plastic sleeve from my prototype binder. Years of design paranoia had taught me to preserve evidence, even when my hands were shaking. Ray picked up on the first ring. Mira? What happened? I exhaled shakily. Someone just slid a note under my door. It said, "Stop digging." Jesus. Her voice sharpened instantly. "Call the police." I already did. I lied. I hadn't. I didn't trust that they'd understand what was being stolen. Ideas don't leave fingerprints. But Ray didn't need to know that yet. "I'm coming over," she said. "No, stay where you are." "Like hell. Send me your address again." The line went dead before I could protest. 15 minutes later, a knock, this time quick, familiar. "Mira?" "It's me." I opened the door a crack, and Ray pushed inside like a storm. Puffy jacket, messy bun, camera bag slung over her shoulder. She looked at the note, eyes narrowing. "So now they're resorting to scare tactics. I don't know if it's Forge or—" "It's Forge," she interrupted. "They've done it before. A friend of mine got a fake legal threat when she leaked their crunch conditions last year. Same handwriting. Too, look at those slanted A's." I blinked. "You remember handwriting?" She shrugged. "I'm a journalist who deals with trolls. Occupational hazard." I almost smiled. almost. Ray walked around the apartment, scanning every corner like she expected spies hiding behind the game boxes. You need to back up your drives somewhere they can't reach, she said. Offline, cold storage. I already made 2 copies, I said. One here, one in my mom's basement in Duluth. She gave a low whistle. You plan for everything. I have to. The indie scene doesn't forgive amateurs. Ray dropped her bag and Saturday. Then let's turn this into your advantage. How? Public pressure. Forge thrives on their image, family-friendly, creative, ethical. If they think you're going to take this quietly, they'll isolate you. But if you control the narrative, they can't hide behind NDAs and PR statements. I rubbed my temples. Ray, I don't want to become a headline. I just want my game back. She leaned forward. Then, make that the story. A creator fighting for her stolen work, not drama truth. I hesitated. Think about it, she said softly. What's scarier to a corporation than receipts? Fans. We worked for hours. Ray helped me edit a statement measured, calm but firm. We attached proof without emotion, just facts and timestamps. At 2:37 a.m., we hit post. Within minutes, it started spreading again. But this time, it wasn't chaos. It was organized. Designers I admired, people who'd ignored my emails a year ago, were now quote tweeting with words like accountability, transparency, creator rights. One wrote, "If Mira's story is true, it's not just her fight, it's all of ours." By dawn, North Star Forge released a statement. We are aware of allegations concerning our upcoming title Night Market Cabal. While we take all claims seriously, we stand by our contractual agreements and will address this matter privately. Translation. Lawyers are panicking. But what I noticed most was what wasn't there Jonah's name. Not once. They were cutting him loose. That afternoon, I finally crashed. Ray made coffee while I dozed on the couch, the world humming faintly from behind the fog of exhaustion. When I woke up, she was gone, but she'd left a note. Going to meet a source, someone inside Forge. Don't open the door for anyone. I frowned. A source? Before I could text her, my phone buzzed again, this time from an unknown number, same area code as the last one. You should have taken the payout. My pulse kicked up. I typed back before thinking, who is this? No reply. Instead, a photo appeared. Me through my own apartment window, from across the street. I froze. The photo was taken from a low angle, like someone sitting in a car. My silhouette was perfectly framed in the light of my monitor. I jumped up, yanked the blinds shut, heart hammering so loud it drowned out every other sound. Then I did call the police. They took 20 minutes to arrive. 2 officers, polite, skeptical, clearly out of their depth. So nobody broke in, one said, jotting in a tiny notebook. No, but someone's been outside. They're threatening me. Do you have security cameras? No, just a ring cam on the hall. He nodded, unimpressed. Could be a prank. You've had some online attention recently, right? I clenched my jaw. This isn't attention, it's intimidation. The younger officer sighed. Look, Miss Sloan, we'll file a report, but unless they enter your property, there's not much we can do. They left. The apartment felt colder after that. I double-checked every lock, turned off the lights, and sat in the dark with only the hum of my laptop for company. That's when a new email popped up. Subject: You're not safe here. From an address that looked scrambled, untraceable. The body of the message read, They know about Ray. She's not who she says she is. Don't trust her. My stomach flipped. I reread it twice, 3 times. Ray? The one person who'd stood by me, risked her own reputation for me? No way. But then again, she'd found my offline draft, posted it without telling me, and now she was off meeting a source inside Forge. Was she leaking information or trading it? I wanted to believe she was still my friend, but I'd already learned what trust costs in this business. I opened my message app and typed, Ray, call me as soon as you see this. The message stayed on, delivered. Hours passed, no reply. Snow kept falling outside, soft and relentless. At 11:19 p.m., I heard tires crunching outside my building. A car door opened, closed. Then a figure stepped out, wrapped in a long coat, hood up, walking straight toward my entrance. Not Ray. Taller, heavier. I killed the lights and ducked behind the counter, barely breathing. A knock. Once. Twice. Then silence. Through the blinds, I saw the flash of a car idling at the curb, headlights off. And then another knock. Harder this time. Mira Sloan? A man's voice called softly. Not a question, a confirmation. He knew I was inside. I clutched my phone, ready to dial 911. Then, something slid under the door again. This time, not a note. A small, unmarked USB drive. The man's footsteps faded. The car engine started. And then he was gone. I stared at the flash drive, heart pounding. It gleamed faintly in the streetlight, same model as Jonah's, same brand Forge used in that first video. My gut twisted. Was this another threat? Or another piece of proof? Either way, I was done being afraid. I plugged it in. A single video file appeared. Ray. Mauve. I. I. I double-clicked. And there she was, Ray sitting across from a shadowed figure in a Forge-branded office, whispering, "Yes, Mira doesn't know I work for you." My blood ran cold. The video played in grainy light, Ray's face half-shadowed, her voice low. "Yes, Mira doesn't know I work for you." My chest went cold. I paused it, stared at the still frame. Same jacket Ray had worn last night. Same nervous hand tapping her coffee cup. But something was off. The background wasn't Forge's office. It looked like its same logo, same sleek table, but the reflection in the glass behind her showed a reversed logo. A mirror image. A fake. Someone had flipped the footage. I scrubbed through the video again. The lighting shifted subtly every few seconds, like it was cut from multiple clips. And her voice, the rhythm, wasn't quite hers. Too even. Too processed. I knew Ray well enough to hear the difference between exhaustion and editing. They wanted me to believe she betrayed me. I leaned back, heart pounding for a different reason now, anger, not fear. "Nice try," I muttered. "But you overplayed your hand." I copied the file, ran a quick metadata check. The timestamps didn't match Ray's last text. The file's creation date was yesterday morning while she and I were still together, drafting my statement. Forge had fabricated the clip before she ever left my apartment, and someone had delivered it to my door within hours, meaning they were monitoring us. I took a deep breath and opened my encrypted chat app. Mira. "Ray, if you can see this, don't respond on text. Use the secure link. Urgent." No reply. But a minute later, a green dot blinked. She'd logged in. "Ray, you saw the video, didn't you?" Mira. "Yes, I know it's fake." Ray. "They're trying to turn us on each other." My source was a setup. "I have the real audio." I sat up. "What audio?" She sent a file titled Cabal Meeting, Record, WAV. It's not card. When I played it, I heard three voices: Trent, the PR woman, and another unfamiliar man. "If she doesn't fold, leak something that makes her paranoid. Make it personal. Discredit her allies." What about the journalist? Use her, make her look compromised. Then the story dies. The third voice, smooth, confident, sealed it. People believe chaos more than truth. I felt my stomach twist. "That's their whole playbook," I whispered. Ray typed again. "I'm safe. I'm with someone from inside Tabletop, trustworthy. We're collecting statements from Forge employees. They've done this to others. Mira." Then we go public again. But carefully this time. Ray. "Agreed. We need one undeniable piece of proof, something they can't spin." I stared at my game boxes lining the shelf. The prototypes. The drafts. The tiny details that no press release could fake. And then it hit me. The changelog. Every file I'd ever saved contained embedded user data, OS build, location tag, device ID. My old laptop, the one I used for the earliest builds, had its serial number burned into every export. If I could cross-reference that with the Forge prototype Jonah submitted, it would prove they copied directly from my files. Ray, I said aloud, excitement rising. We don't need their confession, we just need their fingerprints. By midnight, we'd built a plan. Ray's contact at Tabletop Now would host a live stream the next evening titled The Real Hinterlands Heist, Evidence Review. No theatrics, no shouting, just facts and timestamps. I'd appear live, showing the embedded data in real time. Ray would handle moderation and archive every second. If Forge tried to threaten, it would be on record instantly. Still, I couldn't shake the unease that they'd try one more trick. So I reached out to someone I hadn't spoken to in months. Dr. Andrea Powell, my old game theory professor, the one who'd taught me that every system has an exploit, even justice. When I explained everything, she listened quietly, then said, "You've been playing defense, Mira. It's time to design the win condition." That sentence hit me like caffeine to the veins. She was right. Revenge wasn't about destroying them, it was about outdesigning them. The next day was a blur of prep. News outlets picked up whispers about the upcoming stream. Forge released another PR statement, this time colder, more desperate. Certain individuals continue to spread misinformation. We will pursue all legal remedies against those defaming our company. I could almost hear the panic behind the polished words. At 8 p.m., the live stream went live. The chat flooded instantly. Fans, designers, journalists, curious onlookers. Ray opened. "Tonight, we're not here for drama. We're here for data." She introduced me. I sat before the camera, heart hammering, fingers resting on the keyboard. "Hi, I'm Mira Sloan," I said. "You've heard the rumors. Tonight, I'll show you what really happened bite by bite." I opened my old files, scrolling through the changelog, showing timestamps, edits, metadata strings. Then I displayed the leaked Forge prototype courtesy of Ray's contact, and matched the hidden device ID, identical to my old laptop. The chat erupted, screenshots spread instantly, and then, something unexpected happened. Forge's official channel joined the stream. Their logo appeared in the viewer list, and a message popped in chat. "Northstar Forge Official. Please stop this broadcast. You are sharing proprietary materials." Ray looked straight at the camera. "Actually," she said, "we're sharing stolen materials stolen from Mira Sloan." The chat exploded in emojis. I didn't look away from the screen. "You wanted to make me paranoid. You wanted to erase me. But the thing about game designers is, we document everything." A pause. Thousands watching. My pulse steady for the first time in weeks. "Every mechanic leaves a trace," I continued, "and you left yours all over my work." Ray clicked to reveal the final slide, Forge's internal pitch deck, annotated by their own staff with my file names still visible in the margins. The crowd went wild. The stream ended with a promise. A full legal filing, supported by open evidence. I leaned back, dizzy, laughing and crying at once. Ray grinned through the exhaustion. "You did it, Mira." "We did it," I said, "and now they can't bury it." My laptop pinged a new email from an unknown address. Subject line: "Let's negotiate before this goes further." Sender: Trent@northstarforge.com. Attached: Settlement Proposal, PDF. I stared at it, heartbeat heavy in my throat. Finally, I whispered, "Looks like they're ready to fold." But before I could open it, Ray's phone buzzed. She read the message, face draining of color. "Mira," she said slowly. "Forge's PR manager just resigned. And Jonah's gone missing." The cursor blinked on my screen beside the unopened file. A warning, or an opportunity impossible to tell which. Jonah was gone. The morning after the stream, his phone went dark. No texts, no calls, no trace. Forge's PR manager resigned within hours, posting a vague message about ethical disagreements. Then the board locked down all comments and accounts. The gaming press had a field day. Headlines everywhere. "North Star Forge, under investigation. Think you can side with a Paul of Seded. The heist that backfired." I should have felt relief, but all I felt was empty. When you fight for something that's yours, you imagine victory will taste like champagne. Turns out it tastes like cold coffee and exhaustion. Ray came over that afternoon with takeout and dark circles under her eyes. "They're offering you a settlement," she said, opening her laptop. "500,000. And joint credit on the game." I blinked. "500,000? She nodded. "Plus royalties if you agree to confidentiality." Silence. The hum of my heater filled the space between us. "They want me quiet," I said finally. "They want this to go away," Ray corrected. "If you refuse, it'll drag for months, maybe years. Lawsuits, hearings, they'll stall until you're broke." I stared at the takeout box, my fork untouched. "And if I take it?" Ray looked at me gently. But my life wasn't what it was, it never would be again. That night, I opened the PDF Forge's settlement proposal. Legal jargon. Signatures waiting for mine. A polite paragraph calling me instrumental in early ideation. Early ideation. The phrase felt like a slap. I shut the file. Instead, I opened Hinterland's Heist, V0, 8.1, the version before everything fell apart. My game. Uncorrupted, untamed. Still carrying my fingerprints. I realized something then. I wanted my voice back. I called Ray. "I'm not signing," I said. She sighed but smiled faintly. I figured. What's next then? I finish what I started. 3 days later, I uploaded a short video titled, "Hinterlands is Coming Home." It wasn't dramatic. Just me at my table, the prototype spread out, snow falling through the window behind me. I said, "This was mine from the beginning. I'm taking it back, and I'm publishing it independently under my own name, with full public documentation. No NDAs, no secrets. Every creator deserves to keep their fingerprints visible." The video went viral again, but this time, not as a scandal, as a statement. Designers started tagging their projects with number "keep your receipts" and number "creator rights." Forums buzzed with open source collaborations, fair credit discussions, and people citing my case as the reason they were now protecting their work. I didn't need to destroy Forge. They were doing it themselves, one headline at a time. But Jonah. He finally resurfaced. A short, shaky video posted from a train station, hair messy, voice low. "I wanted to say I'm sorry. Mira, you didn't deserve any of this. I thought I could fix it from the inside. But I was just another piece in their design. I've left the industry. I hope you finish the game." Then the video ended. And that was it. No explanations, no grand redemption. Just a confession wrapped in regret. I watched it twice, then closed my laptop and whispered, "Goodbye, Jonah." The next week, I launched a Kickstarter for Hinterland's Heist, the creator's cut. The goal was $15,000. It hit $100,000 in 4 hours. People didn't just back a game, they backed a story, a fight, a message. For the first time in months, I felt the quiet kind of peace that comes from surviving something that was meant to silence you. But deep down, I knew there was one more step. Not revenge. Resolution. I wrote a final email to Forge's CEO. "You can keep your lawyers. I'll keep my legacy." And then I hit send. 6 months later, Minneapolis thawed. Snowmelt ran down the curbs like silver threads, and the city smelled like new beginnings. My apartment had changed. The boards were neatly stacked, the binders organized, a real production schedule pinned to my wall. Hinterland's Heist was going to print. On my desk sat the first pre-release copy, heavy, beautiful, real. The cover art showed a caravan crossing frozen plains under northern lights. And in the corner, just beneath my name, the tagline, "Ray helped me write. Every heist leaves a trail." The irony still made me smile. Ray arrived with 2 coffees and her usual whirlwind energy. "They're screening a documentary about you at Convergence next month," she said. "You're officially part of gaming history." "Please don't make me sound old," I teased. She grinned. "You earned it." I held the box of my game, tracing the edges. "It's weird. I thought revenge would feel like winning, but it feels more like finishing a chapter." Ray nodded slowly. Revenge ends when you stop needing them to see it. That line hit deep. I laughed quietly. You're getting poetic. Occupational hazard, she said. Also, we're out of milk. That evening, I went for a walk by the river, the same one I used to cross every day when this all began. The sky was pale gold. The ice had broken. I thought about Jonah, about the way ambition can twist friendship into something unrecognizable. I thought about Forge, how power feeds on silence. And I thought about myself, the girl who once measured time in prototypes and winters. Now I measured it in something else. In resilience. In truth. In people who refused to look away. When I got home, I opened my old changelog one last time. Every entry was still there, every note, every timestamp, proof that creation matters. I scrolled to the final line and added one more note. V1. 0. Complete. Lessons learned. Trust yourself. Keep receipts. Tell your story before someone else does. Then, I closed the file for good. A few weeks later, Hinterland's Heist launched worldwide. The first copies sold out in hours, not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. And on the first page of the rulebook, right beneath the credits, I wrote, "For every creator who was told to stay quiet, speak anyway." The camera could fade out there. Me, standing in the warm Minneapolis spring, holding the game that almost got stolen, smiling not like a victor, but like someone who finally belongs to herself again. Because sometimes revenge isn't about ruining the thief, it's about reclaiming the masterpiece they tried to erase.